There are good mornings when the fisherman hopes for a great day, and there are magic mornings when you can actually feel a special something in the air. This was a magic morning. The huge area of water covered by the banks actually breaks up into several distinct grounds, or humps. When we got out there, the pros were working the northwest ground for tuna, so we decided to try there too. The fish were there all right, small fish and plenty of them. The professionals were working on bluefin tuna, and for a while, Gary and I had the kings all to ourselves. It was a fish every drop, and there's another one. And another. When kings or tailor are biting like this, it pays to keep one hook fish in the water to hold the school close to the boat. The faster you work that jig, the better the fish like it. Another double header, and Gary seems to have a better fish this time. No wonder he was pulling so hard. A very aptly named Samson fish, probably the only fish in the sea that can pull harder than a king on a pound-to-pound basis. It's quite a social occasion when the fish run far out at sea, and news of an unusual catch soon gets on the ocean grapevine. It looked as if the fish would stay on the northwest ground all day, so we decided to take a little time out to check the outer edge of the banks, hoping to locate bigger fish. From here, this looks like just another patch of ocean, but we're actually floating right on top of a huge underwater mountain range. 12 miles offshore, the main peak rises to within 15 feet of the surface. After a bad run with barracuda and muttonbirds, this was to be Gary's day, and he was out to make the most of it. There were a lot less fish out here, and the school was concentrated right on the edge of the reef. We could only fish for a short time, and then the boat would have to be repositioned to place it over fish again. When Gary hooked this fish, we thought he may have hit a big yellowfin tuna. He ran so hard I started to back the boat down on him, expecting a long, drawn-out fight. But he turned out to be only a slightly better kingfish, with the performance of an Olympic sprinter. The fish may have been a little larger on the outer grounds, but there was too much water mixed in with them for our liking. The northwest hump was obviously the place to be. There are no signposts on the open ocean to tell you where you are, but by using an echo sounder, the fisherman can position his boat exactly where he wants it. An electronic pulse is bounced off the bottom by a transducer mounted in the bilge of the boat, and the returning signal is registered on a moving chart in the sounder. The chart shows a distinct outline of the seabed as the boat passes over valleys, deserts, hills and mountain ranges. Here, the chart shows a deep trench between the outer and inner reefs, and this is the sharp rise as we come up onto a steep underwater cliff that takes us right onto a high plateau of reef. The wind direction drifts us right across the top of this reef until we come across this section with what appears to be a heavy cloud hanging over it. That heavy cloud is a solid school of kingfish, and the boat is sitting right on top of them now. Gary drops a jig and just watch his face. The first jig down is bitten, and so is every jig that goes over the side in the next hour. A frantic school kingfish bite is underway. What follows is a form of organised mayhem that is part and parcel of jigging for kings. It's time to stop talking and start fishing. It's always a nice thing to end the day with a big fish, and it looks as if Gary may be about to do that. That rod butt can start to hurt after a couple of hours of solid fighting, and Gary deserves the gimbal belt for this one. This king won't go anywhere near breaking any records, but he's a nice finishing touch to a great day's fishing. They call him the king, and for my money, he is. At this size, he is a magnificent sporting fish. From 30 pounds to 50, he will break your back and your bank balance as he destroys you and your tackle with brute strength. And over 50 pounds, he will break your heart and prove almost uncatchable. We finish the day with smiles on our faces and a good catch in the boat. Best of all, we are coming home with most of our tackle. Next time it may be a different story. We might be wondering where the money is coming from to replace line and lures lost, and to buy replacement parts for reels subjected to the appalling punishment the big kingfish can hand out. But fishermen have short memories for the bad times, and it will take more than aching backs and cut fingers to make us feel down at the moment. As the tempo of the current increases, the great yellowfin and marlin will come along with hordes of sharks and other game fish. And for a time, the banks will be a land of plenty for sportsmen and professional alike. Then, finally, the river of life will cease to flow. The cold southern water will return, and with it the seal and the barracuda will announce a time of waiting for the fishermen. But in this part of the world, the waiting is always worthwhile.
Well, you've seen the 9 programs. We had 10. We've lost one along the way somewhere, one called Fishing the Lake Country. My goodness, I'd love to find a copy of that somewhere. You don't happen to have one at home, do you? You could get in touch with me. So this was Ron, a big part of Ron and my life, and we're both very proud of it.